Hello, everybody. My name is Jacques Vigeant. I'm a Senior Director of Product Management at Oracle. I work in the Oracle Analytics team where my area of focus is mobile analytics. So today we'll be walking through how to make your mobile workforce data-driven by providing insights anytime and everywhere while your workforce is on the go. Now, of course, some of the things you're going to see is forward-looking statements, so keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and look at, I like to start by looking at mobile trends, if you will. One of the things that's been very interesting over the last decade or so is that, I talk to customers a lot, and customers will say, yeah, we really want to get to this capability of delivering analytics on a mobile phone. However, I need to sort of do my blocking and tackling on the desktop right now. I need to create dashboards that are compelling for my users on the desktop, and then I'll get to the phone. And I can totally appreciate why you would do that and why you would take that approach. But one of the really interesting things that people sort of or especially in corporate environments, tend to sort of overlook is that since 2016, the large majority of internet traffic actually occurs on their mobile, on their tablet or on their phone, as opposed to on their desktop. Now, a lot of customers, when I quote that, will tell me, oh yeah, that's great. They're TikToking and Facebooking. And sure, there's a lot of that going on. But the truth of the matter is they're also emailing. Right? And so when you think about your mobile workforce and when you're coming up with some insights that may hopefully better inform your workforce so that they make better informed decisions, it's kind of important to reach out to them as soon as possible. And so if you look at another interesting statistics is that 66% of respondents of this poll responded that they tend to look at email on their phone first and, answer some of them, the urgent ones. They're on their phone. They're on the bus on the way to work. They see some emails come in, and the easy ones, traditionally, they'll respond on their phone. And then, the longer, more laborious emails to respond to, because it's awkward to type on a phone, admittedly, they'll respond to it in the office. But the key takeaway there is that the first point of contact with your workforce or your customers is really on their phone. So that's sort of another important trend that we have to sort of keep in mind. The last trend that I like to point out, and I thought this was really interesting, a Pew Research study asked people who consume digital news and information, the folks who read, the Wall Street Journal online, or the folks who read, Google News or Apple News, they tend to actually prefer, 72% of the respondents actually prefer reading their news on their phone. So they might be like me right now. I've got my phone next to me. I'm on my desktop. But the funny thing is when I want to look up an article, I tend to grab my phone because I don't know, the experience feels more natural. It's just kind of an interesting phenomenon. You've got this great big computer screen, but the experience on the phone is more pleasant. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, your mobile workforce or your workforce in general is already spending more time on their mobile device than on their desktops or on their laptops. The first point of contact to that same workforce or your customers is often via an email or a notification on their phone. And then finally, that community actually prefers being on their phone than their desktop. So if you don't enable some sort of analytic experience on their phone, or if you don't push the content to them, they're going to figure out a way to get it. So why not sort of embrace that, our capabilities in mobile, and sort of use one of the channels that we provide to proactively deliver that experience to them. And so to that effect, Oracle Analytics actually has 3 different ways that we can deliver analytics to your workforce using either tablets or phones. One of the interesting statistics that I forgot to point out in the earlier slide, a lot of people tell me, okay, great, we're going to deliver these dashboards on a mobile device. Let me optimize that for the tablets, because my executives all have these great iPad Airs or whatever, these great tablets. And let me optimize, a dashboard so that it looks great on a tablet. But the dirty little secret is, of all mobile access, 96% of the mobile access is on a phone, and like 4% is on a tablet. So another thing tip that I like to tell customers is keep that in mind, that we tend to get sidetracked because maybe at work we're using a tablet, but the large majority of mobile access is actually on a phone. Fortunately, I'll show you in the demo a little later some of the ways that we can take that effort off your hands. But there's really 3 key channels or ways that you can access your Oracle Analytics today on a mobile device. So the first couldn't be any simpler. It's within your phone's browser. So in Safari, if you're on a iPhone or iOS device, and maybe Chrome or Edge if you're on an Android device. And then we also have 2 mobile apps, one that we call simply Oracle Analytics. It's like an app with no name. And then we have also an app that we call Day by Day, and I'll get into some of the differentiations of those in forward slide. So let's start by the simplest option. So regardless of the mobile device, you can open the mobile browser and simply put the URL that you're accustomed to on your laptop or on your desktop. And we will do what we call adaptive and graceful rendering of the dashboards within the mobile device. So the benefit of that is that there's no app required, right? So you can borrow somebody's tablet or phone real quick, call up your OAC URL, and then just see your dashboard, get your numbers, and then be done. And you didn't have to install any apps. It's really simple. We go through quite a bit of effort to be adaptive and responsive. So if you're looking at the content on a form factor like a phone, we'll relay out the experience in a sort of more sort of Facebook feed kind of way. So we'll stack the visualizations so that it's graceful and easy to use with a single finger, your thumb, of course. And then we try to make that experience really focused on your consumers, and not a non-technical experience, if you will. And then finally, we made sure that it would feel familiar to what your workforce is used to. So when they log on to the desktop, they're accustomed to seeing their content in several swim lanes. The same metaphors appears on the phone. The next 2 options are what we call Oracle Analytics, a mobile app. So you can go to the Android or Apple app stores. If you look up Oracle Analytics, you'll see one app called simply Oracle Analytics. And then we also have a secondary app called Day by Day. And the first question people will ask, well, why do you have 2 apps? And the truth of the matter is, we have 2 apps because through our research and really through our experience, we find that there's 2 types of people. There are some people that like to get their news from the Wall Street Journal, which is like a curated experience where there's an editor determining, these stories go out, they go out in this order. This content is blessed, reviewed, curated, and managed by a team of experts, right? So that would be sort of a more editorial, curated experience, which is not unlike Oracle Analytics. When you log in as a consumer, some folks have shared, analytics with you and dashboards and reports, and you can go in as a consumer and just open, look at what you need, and dismiss it when you're done. And so those are the folks that like to get their news from the Wall Street Journal. But there's a whole other class of users that prefers to get their news, for better or for worse, from Facebook or Twitter or, gosh, even, TikTok nowadays. And so that experience is dramatically different. It's rather than going to a curated place where there's content waiting for you to open and it's it's managed and it's the regular quarterly report, for example. An experience like Facebook, you're getting sort of a trickle feed of information throughout the day, and it's little tidbits of experience that sort of comes to you throughout the day. And those experiences are dramatically different. And we've also found that the type of consumer is also very different. As well, the companies who prefer to do a more trickle down organic feed of information tends to be sort of more nimble startups and sort of younger companies than large established companies with, governance and, data management experts on staff. And so let's start by taking a quick look at sort of day by day in terms of concepts, and then I'll go through a demo of our brand new Oracle Analytics experience for the more traditional curated experience. So the bold intent of the day by day app is that it's an analytic app that learns what each user is interested in, when and where they're interested in it, and who they like to share and collaborate that information with. And so the interaction model is very search based. So it's like Google search terms. I want to see revenue by product last year. So you could type that. Or of course, you could just say, show me, using your voice, show me revenue by product in Europe last year. And then it'll on the fly create an analytic for you. And then you can say, oh, I want to see that one every week, every month, or bring this back if it exceeds 10, or if it goes up by more than 10%. And so the intent is that it's a very organic experience. It's more social in nature. I might see something interesting and share it with my buddy. And then on his app, he'll see it come up. It's a very social experience. And so that app's been out in the wild, and we've demoed it many times at other CloudWorlds and open world conferences before. But the exciting news this year is that we're launching a redesign from the ground up of the Oracle Analytics app. And so what exactly is the Oracle Analytics app? So the Oracle Analytics app, you can think of it as just the companion app to Oracle Analytics. I do some banking at B of A and Wells Fargo. And when you go to the Wells Fargo website, you've got your account, you've got deposit a check, you've got a little bit of, pay a bill, that kind of thing. And then you can go to the website and do that, or you can go to the App Store, download the Wells Fargo app, and then you can do effectively the same thing, but in a much more fluid, fast, pleasant experience. So think of Oracle Analytics as that. So you can go to the App Store, you can download the app. In addition, historically, one of the barriers to adoption for mobile is that if you were an OAC customer, you had to do some configuration steps on the server to allow mobile access to your instances. As of last month, this is no longer necessary. You can just download the app. Your workforce can download the app from the App Store, type in the same URL they're accustomed to get their analytics, log in through your single sign-on provider, and then they'll have access to all their great content. And so the key tenets for this app was that it would be a sort of a familiar and unified homepage for all consumer content. It's really not so much focused on authoring and creating content, but more focused on viewing content. You're on a phone. It's not the best place to create a complex dashboard. We do have some simple visualization, authoring capabilities, but the intent here is to give you a really pleasant experience to look at your content. We have 24 new native visualizations, so they're super fast, super responsive. Our team of developers is filled with sort of gamers, so you can see some of that attention to detail, things like how quickly it draws, how many data points you can look at, and the frame rates and all those great things. Since you're on your phone, you can easily share some of the information with other apps. So if you're looking at an analytic and you want to quickly send an email with that analytic in context to a coworker, you can just hit a button. It does that. I can't demo this easily, but You can project your phone onto a TV, and it's not just projecting your phone, but it's projecting analytics and natural language generated summaries of your analytics on the screen. And, if you get an email with a spreadsheet, or you have a little bit of Dropbox data on your phone and want to do a quick analysis, you can actually do that directly on the phone without ever involving, logging onto your laptop and uploading the data there. You can do it all from your phone. So let me take a quick break and switch to a quick demo to walk you through some of the great stuff in this new mobile experience. And the way I like to highlight this is to show the desktop, and then next to my desktop, an equivalent view of the information, but on your phone, so you can see what we're doing magically behind the scenes. So here I've got a simple Oracle Analytics instance on my desktop, and I'm going to go ahead on my phone and launch the app. And so we can see that, again, it's familiar, but it's organized in a way that's optimized effectively for, the one finger interaction. So for example, here you can see that on the desktop on the left, you've got your favorites, but on the phone, it's laid out a little bit different, but conceivably the same information. I've got workbooks, I've got data sets, because I'm a person that has authoring privileges. For any one of these, I can tap into it and, see the list in more detail, or see it, sorted in different ways by date and so forth. Now on the desktop, if I wanted to look at this information, I would open this dashboard like this. And now I've got a dashboard filled with, analytics that presumably are meaningful to me. And then I've got some interaction here that the author created for me. So he's got prompts, or she's got prompts for products, channel, and customer name. So let me show you how that looks on the mobile browser here. So I haven't done anything. I'm literally opening the same document that I have here on the left, but I'm opening it on the right here. And so you'll see that by default, we'll recast that dashboard to a stream of information, a set of analytics that are stacked on top of each other, so that you can control it easily with just your thumb, right? So it's exactly the same information that you see on the left, but organized for a one-handed sort of interaction model. For any one of these, I can double tap, and then it'll maximize the viz. And then I can tap around and see some details. Another interesting capability that we actually do on the phone that isn't even available on the desktop is, you'll see at the top of this screen, there's a little information button on the top. And so here I'm looking at lots of information on my screen. But maybe, it's hard for me to conceptualize what are the top and the 5 worst performing products. Well, so I can just hit the info button, and here you can see that the products that have sold the most here are champagne, soda, toilet paper, and then the lowest performing products are toothpaste, bottled water, and macaroni here. And so that's sort of an interesting interaction model that we support. Now, if you look here on the left, you've got, tabs of information. So I could switch to a different canvas, as we call it. That same information is available here in this little canvas icon up top. And then in terms of prompting, I hit the little filter icon, and now you see the product prompt show up, which should look very familiar to this one on the left. And just like I can do on the left, I can highlight a handful of products, hit apply, and it'll re-render everything for me with those new prompt values applied. So again, the beauty of this is that you didn't have to do anything. You authored something that looked fantastic on your desktop, and with no effort, we gracefully adapt and render the same content in a mobile-friendly way. So, so we're really happy with all that. You could share that URL and so forth. Historically, customers who were maybe using the existing, this app is forthcoming in a matter of weeks, not months. So it's right around the corner without giving a specific date. But historically, the folks using our current app in the App Store found that there was a lot of visualizations that the mobile app did not support. And more specifically, there was also a lot of dashboards that our users or our authors created, certain content. Like I'll open this sales dashboard here. The author created this very explicitly to look a certain way. So the author wanted to show, some prompts on the left, right? Because they wanted to make an interactive surface, and they wanted to highlight sort of the key metrics up top and have some supporting visualizations below. And so historically, we would open that and, rearrange the layout in such a way that we would not honor the layout that the author, painstakingly created. And so we have this new option now that you can open your workbooks either in what we call the mobile layout, which is the one where we will rearrange the desktop optimized for the phone, or you can open it up in what we call the workbook layout. So in this instance, what we'll do is we'll adapt the content, or we'll adapt the workbook so that it looks the same but is optimized for a phone. So let me go ahead and close that up, and I'm going to minimize this, and I'll turn my phone around here so that it's in landscape. But you'll see here, the workbook layout allows me to actually render the content in a way that is really consistent with how it looked on the desktop. Now, for any one of these, I can double tap and, open the chart here and interact with it and sort of see some of the key metrics. I can do this information button and see, the top performing or the top grossing years and the worst performing years as well. But also the author had created these prompts here on the left, and I can type on any one of these. For example, let me go ahead and pick product category. And then I can say, all right, I'm interested in these two product categories. And then off we go. It'll recompute the dashboard. And just like that, I will have interacted in a way that the author intended me to. And I'm going to flip my phone back over here so you can see that, you can look at it, of course, in the same way as previously. And if you prefer the prompts that we historically did in the top command bar, then you can also toggle those. I can switch my canvases here. I'm going to flip my phone again. I apologize for the flickering. And again, now we can see that all our views are supported. We've got these prompts on the left. We've got natural language generation here on the right. And for any one of these, again, I can double tap and interact with the chart. So those are some of the big innovations that we've added to the app. In addition to that, some of the feedback that we got from the previous app, excuse me, is that it was hard to find your content. And so let me move that over and bring back my dashboard here. And so that it was hard to find the content, and users have grown accustomed to in our existing app, users have grown accustomed to searching, or identifying workbooks. Maybe they want to see the information in such a way, and maybe they want to find all the workbooks that, have the word demo in them, something really simple. Historically, we honestly didn't do a great job of that in the mobile app. So we've reworked everything to follow the same sort of paradigm. So here you can see in the top, I've got my two folders that I have available. It's like my personal folder or a shared folder that I might share with coworkers. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the shared folder, and here you can see my subfolders. I've got some sample projects, and then I can also search within these. So I could search for the projects that have the word demo, and there we go. I'm going to go ahead and tap the all charts demo, and here it comes opened in workbook mode. earlier I showed how at open time you can change the default layout from mobile to workbook. Well, even as you've got it open now, you can also do that on the fly and change the layout in line with the analysis that you're doing. So those are some key elements. All of the search terms and advanced search capabilities from the homepage are also supported in the app. And then the last thing I'll highlight is that for any one of these things, you can easily go in, share the URL with a coworker here, and easily sort of collaborate and interact with people within your organization who have access to this data. Of course, we share the URL, not the data, so they'll have to log in so we can enforce all the security and all those good things that you'd expect from Oracle. So let me summarize by saying that the key takeaways here is that when it comes to mobile consumption, it's not only one way. The intent here is not to force users to consume the information in one specific way. The intent is to give them options. We want people to imbibe the information any way they like. And so whether it's through a mobile browser, through an experience that's curated like Oracle Analytics mobile app where somebody prepares all the content for you, or a more organic app like Day by Day that effectively is looking at the same content, but it's based on your usage, your preferences, and what your community is doing. The goal here is to better inform the workforce so that everybody can make better decisions day by day. So thank you very much for attending this session. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. You can find me on LinkedIn or, of course, my email at oracle.com. And lastly, don't forget to go to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store and search for the Oracle Analytics app and download the latest, greatest. Thank you.